Okay, welcome into episode 8 of Strange Ways, and we've got another fresh new topic idea that Scott has come up with. We're also testing another streaming platform, so if there's any bugs, I will get them fixed. One thing cool here I see here is it's like lights up the screen to who's talking.
Oh, that's pretty good. I see the little purple thing.
Little border. Yeah. All right, so here he is. This is Scott.
What's up, guys? Hey, Kiss Nation, Army, Land, whatever the hell you want to call yourself, guys. This topic is going to be the MTV reunion era, what happened, how it took place, what it took to get there, and unfortunately, the backstabbing, manipulation, there you go. All the stuff leading up to it and following it. You know, we're going to try to cover, right beforehand, when Ace and Peter's on their solo tours and Kiss is doing the conventions. That's right before it begins and kind of how it sets off the chain of actions that get to where we're going, that we thought Kiss was going to be, and they always knew what it was going to be, and that's just what we're going to get to, So, any certain particular part you want to,
Here's the thing. I vaguely remember the Peter tour. I don't really remember what was going on with Ace. I had checked out on those two guys, so I was only watching what Kiss was doing. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and give us the backstory of what led up to the actual MTV Unplugged?
All right, I'll get us going then. Okay, this is it. Ace and Peter were doing their separate tours at the time. And I actually went to see Peter on that tour because I had seen Ace like a year before in Charlotte at a club called Rockies on his tour. And I went and seen Peter on the Chris Cat #1 tour, 94, in Charlotte. He came through this place called the Ritz in Charlotte. And right after that, because it was late 94 when I seen that tour, because we're coming into 95 here. So what happened was Peter was asked. No, let me get it straight. Peter had some days off, and they were back out west, so he was in LA, and he seen that the Kiss convention was going to be in LA. So he said he was going to take his daughter, which is Janelle, I think was her name, because she never really got to live his heyday and the makeup and all that stuff and how big, they really, really were, because she was too young. He didn't have her till the 80s, early 80s sometimes. And so he calls the manager of Kiss at the time. I can't really think of what his name is, but everybody will know who I'm talking about. He says, look, I'm going to bring my daughter to the convention to show her, all this stuff. So Gene got wind of it. Well, Gene calls Peter Criss and says, hey, Pete, man, you don't have to ask anybody. You're part of this. This is you too, man. I'll send a limo to pick you up, and we'll have sunset at the we'll have lunch at the Sunset Marquee tomorrow, and we'll talk about it, and we may, surprise some people, whatever. So, okay, Peter Criss is talking to his band about it, and he tells him, look, something's going on here. He called the singer and the one that didn't sing, the one that sung when he wasn't singing in the band, Tall Man. So he told him something's up. It's just Gene's being way too nice and going out of his way here for some reasons, but I'm gonna go along with it and see what's going on. So he has dinner with him, and he says, we're rehearsing while they were at dinner. We're rehearsing right over here. Why don't you come on over here with me and, let's see what happens, So when Peter walks into the rehearsal, he sees everybody's there. He said, and this is how Peter put it. He said, well, he met Eric and Bruce. He hadn't met them before, but he was talking to them, and Paul, and Paul giving him a big hug and all this stuff and everything. And then Eric was up there, and he said, sucking his ass, telling him how much he loved how he sung Hard Luck Woman and all this stuff. And he said, well, he said, I'm getting a crazy vibe out of this. What the hell's going on? And Gene looked at him and says, hey, you want to sing it now? And Peter kind of said, well, I done forgot, they didn't, I don't guess they knew he was singing it on his tour. They may have, they may not have. But he said, I forgot the lyrics or whatever. And Gene had the lyrics already printed out. Here you go. He said, because Peter said, I'd been touring. I was playing good. My voice was good. I was in tune. He said, so, okay, they want to test me out. So they went over there, and he said he hit everything. It was great. And that after they sit there and they done Nothing to Lose too, I think they done a couple songs. And Peter was getting ready to head out, and they said, look, I'll send a limo for you. Show up. We'll do a couple songs, Hard Luck Woman, maybe Nothing to Lose, at the convention. So, okay, all right. So he goes along with it. He gets out of the limo with his daughter, and his daughter's like starstruck by the fans going crazy because I guess word got out Peter's going to be there. I wonder how that happened. But anyway, it's, chaotic. It's packed. And through their set, close to the middle or the end, I don't know exactly when in the set, they, Paul announces, hey, we got, how this wouldn't have never happened if it wasn't for all the original members back in the day. So we got one of them here with us, members of the family with us, Peter Chris, and the crowd goes crazy when he comes out. He sits down. They nail Hard Luck Woman. They nail Nothing to Lose. And Peter gets up, tells everybody bye, blows them kisses, and they're chanting for him, and Paul puts this leather jacket on, which I love to have that jacket. That thing was awesome. It's got a big birdie on the back, it's Kiss Army, blah, blah, blah. And, they're all loving and all this. Well, he said, I walked out there, man, on cloud 9, but he said he knew right then something's going on. I don't know. He didn't know exactly. He said, because he just teamed up with Ace at that time, right after that, because Ace's manager called Peter and said, look, why don't you two do the tour together? We're going to call it the Bad Boys Tour. So they're actually touring, Ace and Peter, together. And Ace refused to open for Peter, so Peter had to open for all of them. And that was fine. He said it meant more money, bigger crowds. Yeah, two members of Kiss together. So he done it. And he always loved Ace. He said, I love being on the same stage with Ace. This was before the betrayal with Ace, too. So, all right, George Swift, that was the manager's name. All right. He, as they're on tour, he gets a call. Ace and Peter, or George Swift gets the call. Kiss has been offered to do an MTV Unplugged, and first Ace and Peter said, tell them to get fucked. We're not doing it, whatever. And George, the manager, said, look, guys, you don't realize how big this is, because you guys haven't, all four of you hadn't been on the stage in like 16 years together. This is going to be, this is going to help record sales, guys. This is going to help y'all's tour. Not only, not just for them, this is going to help y'all too. So he got them to thinking, dollars, this is going to make big news here. This is going to be live. So they agreed to do it. Okay. Well, they went in. Peter was there on time at the rehearsals for the MTV Unplugged. Well, Ace was an hour late. You know how Ace was anyway.
Oh,
So this is the rehearsals for the MTV Unplugged. And as soon as Peter got there, he said, Gene runs up to him, picks him up, hugging him, all this. He said, I wanted to stab a knife inside of his fucking neck. I mean, he said, this son of a bitch. But he went along with it and everything. He said, you know, everybody's kissing and hugging and like they've missed them their whole damn life, dude. He said it was unreal. Well, Ace, when he comes in, he's getting the same treatment. And I guess him and Ace is kind of eye fucking each other, like, you know, what the fuck's going on here? You know, this is just not normal. But anyway, they go through the rehearsals. They do everything, you know. They have to go through long draw, especially Ace, having to play the acoustic, to learn how to play the Beth on the acoustic and all that stuff. So him and Bruce, man, they work at it, and he finally gets it right. And he says, you know, the night that they do it, you know, it's just pure magic. You know, he loved it. He said the crowd, he said the funny thing was when they come on stage, you know, when they announce, you know, we got members of the family here. I know you've seen all that part and stuff. The actual Unplugged, he said, we've got members of the family here, you know, and the place goes crazy. And then they come out and do a couple of songs. 3 or 4 songs. I can't remember how
many. They did 2,000 Man, Nothing to Lose, Rock and Roll Night.
Okay. Yeah, they done that. And Beth. Yeah. And then when they called Bruce and Eric back up on stage, you know, I don't know if they edited that out. They had to.
They didn't.
Because most of the place was booing.
You could hear some. Yeah. And,
yes.
And we'll get to that, man. Because that was one of the most shameful fucking nights for Kiss fans that I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Yeah.
But
he said, you know, look, Ace said, you know, hey, these guys are part of the family too. And Peter in his book says, man, these guys has been members longer than me. And Ace was. Well, not Eric.
Yeah.
Stinger. But
don't get me fucking started, because every member with the exception of Mark St. John and Vinnie Vincent was there at least a decade longer than Ace and Peter. So
yes,
I don't want to hear that goddamn bullshit. Those are the Kiss fans I fucking hate. That's your Mark Cicchinis of the fucking world. And anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, you're gonna get it, man. You're fixing to come in here. But he said, you know, I was kind of shocked, you know, but he said, I understood, because we're going to jump back to the conventions here. Kiss doing conventions. This is after the Revenge tour. You know, their things are not going so well in the Kiss world, because Peter says, I'm telling you, for Kiss, for Ace, for Gene and Paul to be doing conventions and be that up close and personal with the fans, that had to be brutal to their ego. He said, because there's no way on God's green earth, if they were doing good enough to do stadiums and arenas, they're going to be doing these damn conventions. So he knew something was amiss somewhere. Well, it all comes together, you know, with the reunion and all that, man. That's why Gene and Paul actually had the reunion, you know, because after the Kiss MTV
reunion,
you know,
the reunion as in the tour or as in the Unplugged?
Well, as in the tour. The MTV thing was all just something to stage. Hold on a second. Can you pause or anything?
Absolutely. I will pause it, and then we can, as soon as I figure this program out, I'll just go. I'll bullshit.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Sure. So you can see I'm going to be getting a fucking migraine, and a vein in my head's going to fucking pop. Because I think anybody who's watched this channel long enough knows where my heart and soul lie, what side of the line I stand on. It's going to be interesting. Okay. Interesting, like I said, to get Scott's take on this. So go ahead.
All right. Now, look, I'm not going to disrespect the other members by booing. Okay. Now, yes, I'm not going to lie. I wanted the reunion. I wanted them back together forever. That's just me. You know, I did not want what happened after the reunion. But anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Okay, after the MTV Unplugged, all that's over with. Ace and Peter go back on their tour together. They're doing their clubs and stuff, you know. Okay, well, not long after the MTV Unplugged, George Swift gets the call. Kiss wants to do a reunion, you guys. And it's going to be enormous. We're going back to the makeup. We're going to do all this stuff. And see, this is all Gene and Paul's plotting because Kiss is sinking. They're on the Titanic, brother. You know, they're not, you know, I don't know how long they would have made it, literally. I mean, they would have made it at a certain degree, but it's not looking good, you know. So, okay, let's talk. Let's see what's going on. Let's see, you know, of course, Ace and Peter, they want it too, you know. And Peter said he wanted nothing more out of this for redemption. He said he knowed he fucked up in 1980. And that's what I love so much about Peter's book. He don't just shit on what they done and their bad faults. He throws himself under the bus on the shitty things he done. He does not hold himself up here and them down here. He's right there with everybody in their fuck ups and how they were and what they done. And that's why I respect him for that. He said he wanted nothing more to redeem himself from his fuck ups. And he said when rehearsals started for the reunion, they had this little shitty place, man. They didn't want people to know. I guess they were doing this at the time. So he said, I showed up. He said, I cleaned my act up. Peter was off of the drugs and the drinking at the time. And of course, for all of this that was going on, when they set it up, they had a big screen pop up. And Ace and Peter was in New York and Gene and Paul was in LA. Okay. And then Gene, they met the manager now. What's his name? Doc. They met him then. And then all of a sudden, here comes Gene with these list of conditions. You know, the Hitler's prodding had already started before it even started, is what Peter said. And he said, I was willing to do it anyway. Hell, I didn't need Hitler's prodding to do it. He said, I was ready. You know, he had been touring. He was drumming good. Everything was good. Singing good. And he said, you know, we got to work out, get in shape, you know, and of course he did. Ace didn't take to it as good as Peter did. He went through the workouts with Paul's trainer and stuff, got in shape, cleansed his body out with all these drinks and stuff, like an hour and a half, 2 hours every day, working out, rehearsing. God, at the hours they rehearsed, Peter was there on time. He said, Gene and Paul was always there early, even before time. And he said, I was always there early, and they were already there. He said I guess they were just Ace was always late. And then finally one day, you know, Gene called over and said, look, you know, asshole, if you don't get your shit together, I can pull the plug on this thing anytime. You know, let's get with it. And Peter said it was pissing me off at Ace too. You know, hey man, get your shit, because Ace was not straight at the time. So, but he finally, you know, after a few fights and stuff went on, they finally got it together. They got the rehearsal. And then it was the pay. You know, when they come up with what percentage, you know, me and Paul is getting this much. You, Ace, is getting 20%. Peter, you're getting 10%. Can you believe they tried that shit? They was going to pay Ace that much more than Peter. And Peter said, hey man, you assholes remember who the third member was in this fucking band? Me. And you're going to pay this fucking guy more than me? I don't think so. Peter got up and was getting ready to walk out right then. Hey, you know, and George or somebody said, you're going to walk out on on $1 million, Peter said it better be a hell of a lot more than that. You don't think I know what the hell they're going to make off of this tour? See, that's where things went bad. Look, I'm not saying you have to pay Ace and Peter exactly what you're making, no. But have a little respect. If they don't do this, your asses is in trouble. You have to have them. There's no other way out of it. You have to. And they really need you too at this time, because they're not like on top of the world either. Everybody needs
first of all,
this.
Ace and Peter are playing fucking clubs.
Yep.
Kiss just come off of 2 gold albums with Revenge and Alive 3.
Yep.
Kiss don't need them. Kiss needs them to become stadium act again.
Yes.
But let's not forget about what year we were talking about here. I'm looking here at 1992. Right. And I'm going back to 92 when Revenge came out.
Yeah.
All right. Your major draws right now, AC/DC puts a live album out. You got an EP and a full-length album from Alice in Chains. You've got, let's see, anybody else? Black Sabbath puts out Dehumanizer.
Yeah.
Bon Jovi's Country Sellout, Keep the Faith comes out. Def Leppard tries to emulate their success off of Hysteria with Adrenalize.
Oh, no.
I mean, this is not like any of these bands are playing stadiums. So the idea that Kiss thought, and they probably did, that they needed to be a stadium act was ridiculous. The transition had already begun to the new type of music in grunge. There was no band that was playing stadiums that had the regular rock metal frickin' genre behind them. It's just, that was over.
Now,
so this was the only way they were going to do that.
The only one that was now was
maybe Metallica.
AC/DC, and Metallica was.
Okay.
Because I've seen AC/DC on them tours like 95 when they done the Ball Breaker. Coliseum sold out, brother. They never missed a beat. And
okay, so a couple of bands.
Yeah.
But Metallica's a whole different genre.
Yeah.
A whole different genre. So my point being, I see what you're saying, that they all needed each other, but I think you're kind of, and it's just my opinion, it sounds to me like you're overselling a little bit that without this reunion, Kiss was done. Back-to-back gold albums and the death of metal, that doesn't tell me they're done. They just got a new sound, a new look. If they would have not done that piece of crap Carnival of Souls and continued the Revenge direction, I think they'd have been just fine. Would they have been playing stadiums? No, but they wouldn't be doing casino tours either, or clubs like Ace and Peter. They'd have been doing, 8 to 10 seaters.
Yeah. I agree. Now, look,
that's just my opinion.
If I said they were done, I didn't mean to say they were done. I just meant they were struggling. They were not where they wanted to be, doing conventions, period. They would have never done those damn things if they would have been playing arenas and stuff, man.
Here's the thing where I'm unclear with the conventions. Because all of the stuff I've heard over the years, whether it was from podcasts or articles I've read, is the reason the convention thing started is because they were going basically black market conventions using Kiss's merch and name. And they found out how much money they were making, so they wanted a piece of the pie.
Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it was so much they needed to rub elbows with the fans because their career was over. I think they just, hey, if you're going to make the money, we can do it better. We're us, and we'll make even more money. It's always about money with Paul and Gene. Always has been.
That's it.
And I will never knock them for it. I mean, people don't understand. This is a career. This is like saying you shouldn't chase a higher wage at your fucking job at a law firm. I mean, you should always be looking to make more money.
Yeah.
If you're not, why else are you in it?
I agree to a certain degree with that, but shitting on your fans and stuff, man, and literally lying and manipulating your fans year after year all the time just for money. Now, I don't agree with that because, man, your fans is your blood. It's why you're where
Sure.
you're at, bro. They tend to forget who's fucking paying them. Sometimes.
Oh, but they sell a good line, at every meet and greet and every unplugged show and everything they do at these sail away shows. Oh, if it wouldn't for you guys, it's all about you guys. I'm like, really? Why hasn't your set list changed in 30 fucking years?
Yes, exactly.
Why is every piece of fucking memorabilia or box set $500 fucking dollars? Don't hand me the fan shit that you may be aware that the fans made you what you were, but you're at a point in your life where you don't care.
No, you don't anymore, but you're going to try to sell that to try to keep them, Kool-Aid drinkers are going to buy it. That's just the way it is. Now,
it's hard for me because I'm on both sides of this whole fucking thing. So I'll let you finish and then we'll dive into it.
Well, what I was going to say is the reason they needed Ace and Peter and they wanted them so bad is because they wanted to relive 1977, 1978 again. See, Gene and Paul,
Absolutely.
How hungry they are for more, man. They knew they were never going to reach that ever again if they don't do this. But, what we're being sold, here comes Psycho Circus after the reunion and then Farewell, what we're being sold at this time is we're back. Because the internet's just in the beginning stages in the late 90s. But, we're not getting information like we can get now, right? So we're believing all this stuff. We're just like we believed they'd done that album together, But I wanted it to be that. Hey, Peter said he wanted it to be that. He said, hell, I want to stay. We're I thought we were, but it was never about that. It was never about that, man. He said It was just absolutely the disrespect that me and Ace got through the whole thing, the shit that we had to tolerate and bite our lip and let's just do this, put on a show for the fans and whatever. It sucks to me to know that they were literally that way while I was seeing them and they were doing such a fucking awesome job on stage, And I heard people saying that the Farewell tour was shit and all this stuff. The ones I seen it 3 times, the Farewell tour. Ace never missed a lick. I was trying to find the fuck up. Literally. All I was doing was smoking pot, too. I wasn't drinking or nothing. Okay? Ace was I was trying to find a method. You know what? I did. The first time I seen them on the reunion tour, right after they got together, there was one big screw up. It was at Columbia, South Carolina. Gene. I was jamming, man. Everybody was rocking out. And I must have been looking at Ace or Paul or Peter or something. Gene was over here on this side. And all of a sudden, we heard this big, boom. I mean, it was way out there, man. I thought damn amplifiers had failed or something. And then we looked over on that side, and Gene was getting up off the damn ground. He must have tripped on them boots, man. And when he hit the ground in that bass, man, it was the loudest. Oh, everybody was looking at Gene at one time, even Ace, Paul, and
I wonder where was that at?
Columbia, South Carolina.
Where was that show?
96.
Okay, because I saw there is a video blooper on YouTube of Gene falling flat back on his ass and his back. I wonder if that was the show.
He got pissed and he threw that bass. He swung that and it was like it was staged. There was a guy caught the damn thing behind the curtain there. And just like he was sitting there waiting on the damn thing, dude. I'm like, no fucking way. Gene, he got up and he went like that right there, and everybody was laughing their fucking ass off. It was I couldn't help it, man. It was funny as hell. All you seen was bat wings trying to get up off the ground. He ate the hell out of himself, I mean, I guess he hadn't got used to them boots. This was pretty early in that tour, too, man. And then I seen it in Charlotte. And it was absolutely spectacular, dude. You couldn't get enough people in there, man. And when they done the Farewell tours, They come through Charlotte twice because they didn't have enough room for the people that wanted to come. You know, it sold out and there was tons of people wanting to. So it was like 6 months later they came back through. And they came through Greenville. And there's like 2 or 3 places here I can hit, man. You know, Greenville, Charlotte, Atlanta, if I have to. That's just about 200 miles away, but I don't never go there. I got plenty of other places. But the point is, you know, I just did not realize Gene and Paul. See, the reunion and the farewell tour was their literally retirement. That was the cash grab that they needed to solidify lifetimes of money, man, and which, you know, they got. And of course, Ace and Peter got paid well too, but it was just the disrespect. And, you know, they could have been, Peter said, we could have been that. We could have ended that way. We could have kept going, man. He said, but literally, they were just intolerable. They said it was 10 times what it was when we first left the band. They were just absolutely uncontrollable. And they would not, you know, didn't want to do anything at all that Ace and Peter wanted to do, like change the set list a little bit, tweak it here or there, whatever. And Paul, here's that excuse again. Well, this is what the fans know. And if you're going to, and this is what kills me, the so-called fans, okay? The casual fans.
That's it. That's it. Fuck him and his goddamn
fans is going to be at a damn Kiss concert. Hey,
even if it's the thing to do. Okay, but say you're in a 10,000 seat B market and you fucking got nothing else to do. Like here, say Bismarck, North Dakota, right? 200 miles away, we got Fargo, North Dakota with a 20,000 seater. But basically all the other towns, you know, within 100 miles are 8 to 10,000 seaters. So there's nothing else to do. Small, it's not a town, it's a city, but it's not a metropolis, you know, like you're in or Minneapolis or something. So you get all the people who just want to go and have a good time. Fine. If he's right and say 60 to 70% of the people who show up are your casual listeners and his excuse is they want to hear the hits. Bitch, you got like 6. All right. So none of these casual fans, and I'm not trying to piss Kiss fans off here, but none of these casual fans are going to know the damn difference if they played fucking Black Diamond or not. I mean, you could literally change out everything but Detroit Rock City, Shout It Out Loud, and Rock and Roll All Night with anything. And if the casual fans hear those songs, Heaven's on Fire, Lick It Up, so maybe a handful of songs, they don't give a fuck about the rest.
You're freezing up. Are you freezing on your end? Or is it just from my end?
It's the streaming thing. But that's why I said we're going to do this as a test run, and I'll play it back. It's supposedly
that's fine.
This is a lower.
Know that. Yeah,
what we're seeing is supposedly a lower quality. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're like the casual fan thing. Like I said, man, you know, the majority, I mean, literally the majority people that's going to waste their time and money to go see a Kiss concert is the diehard fans and their kids and their girlfriends and their wives and stuff like that and their friends.
And that's the other thing. It's not like when I was in high school and tickets cost $15, you know, or anybody could just piss the way, you know. But now, when, you know, even at this time when tickets are $100 plus, ain't no casual fan just going to drop $100 for the hell of it. That's whatever. I hate that excuse that he's used for decades already.
Yeah. And then after Ace and Peter left, after the, you know, Aerosmith tour, Peter was gone. He didn't want to give him his contract. He called him up the day of. And he said that the excuse for Paul then, you remember that, about the set list? Well, Ace and Peter just couldn't do anything else. That's why we had to. That was the excuse. I mean, I remember I seen Paul saying it. You know, they just couldn't do anything else. So that's why it's that. What? Make up your mind, dude.
But was he referring to deep cuts, or was he referring to things that maybe Eric Carr and Bruce Kulick did that they truly couldn't replicate?
Anything.
I mean, did you hear Ace and Peter doing Heaven's on Fire and Lick It Up? It was fucking brutal.
Yeah, I heard them do it, but Kiss has never done that song live worth a shit. Never. I've never seen them do it worth a damn, or Heaven's on Fire. Them two songs, that's another thing we'll have to get into, man. Tears Are Falling, they nailed the hell out of it live. But I just like I said, there's certain songs that I've heard them play that I'm wondering, why the hell can't y'all play this? This don't sound nothing like the damn studio version at all. Now, maybe they played it in other places like the studio version, but they didn't when I seen them. But probably deep cuts, man. You know, because Peter and Ace is going to want to play stuff that they, done through Dynasty, I guess.
Okay, but to play devil's advocate, if there's truth in all the videos, and even Peter and Ace were on these that Second Coming DVD, showing what it took to get back into do this reunion, right? If people like Tommy and Eric had to sit down and reteach them their parts to their hits, they'd have to, every time they wanted to throw a new song in, they'd have to have a week with Tommy and Eric or somebody showing them how to play their other song. So I don't think it was a question, maybe it was bad choice of words. I don't think it's a question that they couldn't, is they didn't have the time to just plug it in because Ace and Peter didn't remember them. Maybe. I'm just playing devil's advocate. You know how it is. And all these fuckers talk shit and they completely exaggerate crap, depending on whose book it is and who's being interviewed. You can't take anything any of these four guys say at face value. You just can't.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough, but I definitely ain't Gene and Paul. They've proved to me time and time again. And Ace, half the time he probably couldn't remember. But Peter, if I'm going to listen to anybody, I'm thinking I'm going toward him. He's more the sensitive type. He takes everything personal. He's just that, that argumentative guy, that, you can rub the wrong way. He wears his heart on his sleeve, but Peter said him and Ace.
He's the one. Well, Peter's the one up until and after the very last Kiss show who has been the most candid and handled it the most professional. He wished him well. He didn't go on a 2-week fucking, trash talking tour like Ace Frehley did on every goddamn interview. He had nothing but love to say for the band and what they accomplished. He took the fucking high road.
Yeah, he just didn't want. He just said, "Keep me out of the shit, bro." Man, you are lagging bad, bro.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Are we at the end of it?
I'm catching half of what you're saying, and you're moving like a robot. I wonder why they wasn't doing that at first.
That's the internet. That's streaming. That's why I said this is a trial. We'll see how this podcast goes. If we got to switch back to Zoom, then we will.
Okay, that's fine. But I am catching enough to understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you'll freeze for a couple seconds here and there too. I'm just learning to deal with it. I'll see how it looks at the end. We're going to salvage this one way or the other, so just bear with us, guys and gals.
Yeah, absolutely. And
okay, so we're at the end of the synopsis and up to where we're going to go from here.
So basically, the point of the discussion was we could have had the members go out like they should have. Now, hypocritically, I can say I do wish the farewell would have been the farewell, because, and look, here's one more thing. It is the farewell until Paul goes and gets his car washed. He goes to the car wash. This guy working at the car wash asked Paul, well, what's next? Paul looks at him like, what, you still want us? You know? Well, yeah, I mean, what are y'all doing now? Y'all gonna do anything else? And then when Paul got his car washed and got out, he had this vision of, well, what are we really saying farewell to? To that edition of the band? To those two guys? Really, Paul? The guy at the car wash really made you change your mind to go back on the road with the makeup? That guy at the car wash? Get the
This
fuck
was
out of
never
here.
gonna, even if this went off without a hitch and all members got along perfectly and eventually Ace and Peter didn't want to do it anymore, Paul was never quitting at that point. He didn't really want to quit now. He said it himself. He loves doing it. It makes him happy. Gene goes along with it because it's money. It's fame. The two are basically, they enable each other. Paul's need to be somebody and Gene's need to be rich. It's just a horrible combination.
Toxic.
A horrible combination. Yes. Okay, before we get into that, I do want to touch on a few things that you said.
Yeah.
I have heard bits and pieces of this over the year. This is not an attack on you. It's just the way you presented it. I kind of got the feeling that you were like on Ace and Peter's side through this reunion / farewell.
Yeah.
My point is, you said it yourself. Ace was late for rehearsals on the reunion.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think there was a list of fucking demands presented to these guys? They have a history of no showing. Ace going to card games instead of getting in the studio. I mean, they have a history of this crap. Peter letting his fucking wife interfere with the band like Yoko Ono all the time and causing rifts backstage. And fucking Peter's constant, if I don't get my way, I'm fucking quitting. If Paul and Gene stepped in front of him on stage and blocked his shot, he'd chuck fucking drumsticks at him. I mean, these two fuckers fucked up 6 waves of Sunday from the start, from about Destroyer on is when it started, especially with Ace, from all documented stuff that I hear. And had chance after chance after chance. They were lucky. Yes, Paul and Gene wouldn't have gotten the big kiss again without them. But I don't know if it was so much them or it was the makeup.
Yeah.
And that's where I stand with it, because they wore the makeup out to death. They had to take it off. They exploded. Then they became, after a decade, just like every other hair metal rock band. And when people saw that makeup, they went fucking nuts. I remember the announcement when Tupac had him up on the fucking awards show. Now, they wouldn't have known, if that would have been Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer, that eruption would have been the fucking same. That's what I'm saying. Because they didn't introduce them as by name. They saw Paul and Gene come out on that stage with that fucking makeup on and they lost their fucking mind. I think Ace and Peter's role in this band has been drastically overestimated. I'm not talking about their musical contributions. I'm talking about their characters, their faces. Let's be honest. Paul has always been the voice of Kiss, whether it's in interviews or vocally, and ramping the crowd up as the front man. Gene has always been the face of Kiss. The Ace and Peter fans, the true Ace and Peter fans, and God love you, I used to be an Ace fan. Minuscule compared to the Paul and Gene fans over 50 years. You ask yourself, anybody out there, ask yourself, regardless of who your favorite was, put yourself back in your childhood, whether you were dressing up for Kiss as Halloween or whether you were drawing them and sketching them like I was doing all the time, whatever your fascination with the band was. How many of your surrounding friends chose anybody but Paul and Gene?
Well,
Gene, number one. The blood, fire, the evil, number fucking one. And when you get old enough to understand the music and 9 out of 10 songs you're hearing are sung by Paul.
Paul's my favorite voice of Kiss. He's my favorite songwriter of Kiss. He always has been. But Gene,
look, my point here is I understand Paul and Gene are complete fucking control freak assholes. I get it. And yes, they wanted to be on tour nonstop or in the studio or whatever. But I can't fault somebody for wanting to be the best at what they do. I can't fault somebody for loving what they do so much that they want to do it all the time. Who I can fault are people who have an obligation to 3 other guys and are too fucking busy fucking off, doing drugs, going out to parties, going clubbing, playing card games, and you put that basic fucking breadwinner that enabled you to have this life on the back burner where you go fuck off until then these guys are supposed to just sit around and wait until you're ready. I can't get in Ace and Peter's camp solely because of their unprofessional nature.
Not on that. No.
If they were Eric and Bruce and got treated that way, this would be a whole different argument for me because they were team players. They showed up. They were there. They did everything. For Christ's sakes, Eric Singer and Bruce Kulick would have to go back and forth between studios because Paul and Gene wouldn't work with each other. I mean, though, if Ace and Peter or Bruce and Eric or the other Eric got treated like Ace and Peter, then I would say bullshit. Ace and Peter did this to themselves.
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry.
They did a lot of it to themselves, especially from Destroyer on, like you said. I mean, Bob Ezrin, he showed Ace real quick. Hey, if he ain't gonna show up, I'll get somebody in here to play the damn lead. So that's what he done. And
then they acted like it. And they acted like they were shit on 700. They're the first ones to say, "Hey, we were never fired. We always quit." Well, Ace, then why are you always coming back?
Yeah, Peter was. Ace wasn't fired though.
Well, as Paul said, he fired Peter's wife, basically.
yeah.
But see, that's what I'm saying. They both brought such a distraction to the fucking band. Yes, was Paul and Gene greedy? Sure. Were they control freaks? Absolutely. Should they have allowed Ace and Peter more room to blossom and be a part of it as far as more songs and more contributions? Absolutely. But their only crime is trying too hard to succeed. The other two's crimes, Peter, temper tantrums. I have to sing this or I fucking quit. And don't stand in front of me or I'll chuck a drumstick at you. I don't like this last farewell, so I'm going to destroy my drum kit like a fucking child. Ace Frehley showing up drunk, high, or both, if he shows up at all. This wasn't all one-time things, man. This went on for over a decade.
Because
that would have been the first thing I would, if I would have brought them back, they would have had a list probably twice as long as Gene's of my demands. And look, the fucker almost got, Tommy Thayer, even with this list of stipulations, had to get dressed long before he was a replacement in full Frehley costume because Frehley almost didn't make it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't make this shit up. I can't feel sympathy for those two. I just can't.
No, not sympathy, no. But see, the problem was in the beginning before they left, see, they were equal members. See, they were as equal as Gene and Paul. But
they did leave.
That's why Bruce and Eric and all them, man, they know to stay in line. That's the reason they never did give no trouble.
Yep.
They knew they were employees, always.
Yes.
And that's how Peter and Ace was treated when they came back.
But I seriously believe that Ace and Peter thought they should be back in as full members.
No.
So Kiss continues this thing for fucking 10 years, 15 years, and they think they should just step back in and reap all the benefits?
He didn't say that. He didn't say, he said he knew they would never be full members again. He said it was just the disrespect that they were shown, man. And how they
you know why that was. Why that was.
But Ace, I can understand. Peter tells it all on Ace too. Ace was fucked up the whole time. And these damn girlfriends he brought on the road with him, shooting heroin and shit on the plane, they made him get rid of that one because she was going to die. The doctor said, hell, she's going to die. Now, Ace was a total fucking disaster. But Peter kept his act clean, man, during that whole time. He didn't do the drugs. I tried to talk Ace out of doing the damn shit. He tried to tell Ace, man, come on, dude. What the fuck are you doing, bro? He's fucked up.
Ace tried to pull. Peter tried to drag Ace out of the hole so many fucking times. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Here's the part of the argument.
Yeah.
And here's the other part I want to address, and you didn't even touch on it yet, is the replacements in the makeup. How much it's sacrilege, right? And Ace and Peter will be the first. Not Peter so much. I mean, he said it, but he don't dwell on it like Ace does. How dare you have someone in my makeup? First of all, they sold the makeup, so fuck off. You already lost your right.
It is fucked
Ace
up.
Ace likes to say they're leasing it from me. Do you think Paul and Gene are ever going to allow that? It's mine or nothing. That's their attitude. But secondly, neither one of these fuckers had a problem getting up on stage with the other guy's makeup being worn by somebody else. They both, Ace and Eric or Peter Criss, have played with the Paul and Gene with a replacement in said buddy's makeup, and they didn't have a problem with it then.
Yeah.
Amazing how that works. They only have a problem with it when it's them.
There wasn't shit they could do about it. There's nothing they could have done. I mean, what are you going to do? Tell Gene and Paul, hey, he can't wear his fucking makeup, man. They're going to say,
yeah, but they haven't once ever addressed it. They never addressed it until both of them were out and being replaced. That's my thing. I mean, Peter didn't even address it when Ace was in the band and someone was wearing Peter's makeup, and vice versa. I mean, I just think that they need a reason to excuse their own goddamn behavior and blame everything on Paul and Gene. Are Paul and Gene, I would never want to work for Paul and Gene. Do not fucking kid yourself. Absolutely never. But I can't fault an employer for wanting to protect his investment. And if you got a history of being drunk, and how many times I've been sober, man, you fucking said that forever. And based on what I've seen on his recent live performances, I'm not convinced he's sober now.
I don't believe Ace is sober. There ain't no way in hell.
Maybe it's not, hard drugs or alcohol, but prescription meds or something. The fucker bumbling around. I saw behind the scenes at a photo shoot for Cherry Medicine. The fucker looked like he couldn't even fucking walk. And don't give me that's Ace's typical clumsy. No. Look at him. His stupid grocery store videos that he's got out now when he goes shopping. He's like watching Joe Biden. He's just a drooling monkey. I just don't buy that he's sober.
Yeah. No. There's no way he's clean. I ain't bought.
No. Or he's done such damage that he's just gone.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Keith Richards don't have that problem. His ability is shot. If you look at those live performances he's had in the last few months, if he's singing lead, which he does on his new album stuff, he'll back away from the microphone, look down to see where to place his hands on the fretboard, and stop singing in the middle of a verse. And it ain't just once, it's over and over. He don't even know how to play the stuff he just wrote, let alone something from Kiss's deep catalog.
He probably don't know what damn town he's in.
I don't know. I want to say one more thing. As far as this, the cracks were in the foundation, and it dawned on me later in life. I saw the reunion show twice. Once in Fargo, and then the very next day here in Bismarck, 200 miles apart. Went to Fargo, got the car, came back home, got some sleep, went to the fucking reunion here. Here we have what at the time was the Radisson Hotel. It's went through several name changes. And we went this long before meet and greets, give us your life savings and we'll give you an autograph and send you on your way. We'd go to hotels all the time and hang out in parking lots or go in and just wander the hallways waiting. And that's how I met tons of musicians, and which means way more than some stand in line at an autograph signing where they barely look at you and you think you just accomplished something. I mean, I carried Reb Beach's guitar to his hotel room. I've had Warrant and Firehouse both in unison in my hotel room, drinking my fucking beer and playing my guitar. I took the Kimball from the guitarist from Great White, walked him downtown to the mall to go shopping for sunglasses. This is how we truly got close to people. We just reached out and found them as normal people, not on a payroll fucking thing. Anyway, so we're sitting in the lobby at the Radisson, and we're getting bored, so we go walking. We take the elevator up to the third floor, And we go walking down the hallway and we hear a bunch of fucking yelling and fucking, not yelling, but loud talking. So we get right up to this hotel door. God's the honest truth. And the best we could tell, it was Peter, Ace, Gene, and Paul, management, and there must have been some financial representation for Ace or Peter or both. They were talking money. Ace and Peter were getting pissed, and there was somebody kind of interrupting them and talking about percentages and shit like that. We fucking got out of there because we heard someone that coming to the door or whatever. A few minutes later, we turn the corner. Here comes Gene Simmons, and he looks at us and says, "You're not supposed to be up here, boys. I'm being nice, but you don't want to be here when the big guys get here." I'm thinking, go fuck yourself. You don't own the fucking hotel or the entire third floor, but whatever. If I had a set of boobs right now, you'd be inviting me to your room. Whatever. So we go back down to the lobby. Shortly after, Paul comes shuffling out. He's going up to the front desk for something. He just looks at us and kind of nods. And Ace and Peter come up together and go to the cash machine. Ace is getting, I didn't even know at the time, because my experience, I go to an ATM, I get 20s. He gets a stack of hundreds. I'm like, holy fuck.
Really?
You know, so the cracks were in the reunion tour already about the finances. Already. Before the farewell, before Psycho Circus. Already. And they still stuck in there. Now, how can you feel sorry for them? They were bitter and angry from point one of the contract sign, but they went on for 3-4 years anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I don't feel sorry for them. I just hate that everything was all fake. There was never no intention of getting together. There was never no intentions of ending that way. There was never no intentions of making a studio album together. And all that was just all bullshit, man. It was all just money.
They are like the typical guy trying to get laid. He's going to tell you anything you need to hear to get what he needs. In this case, our money. Period. Yeah. And I'm sure in their mind they would have loved to become 78 Kiss again, but that was never going to happen. Like I said, all of them on their best behavior and getting along like best friends, they were never going to reach that pinnacle again.
Mm-mm.
That's a once in a lifetime deal.
But there's one thing that I don't understand about the makeup. Gene and Paul, or Gene, you hear most about. It's supposed to be this great, Gene has never started anything that's made it. He has never opened a business or started anything that has survived. Literally.
Fucking record company failed.
Everything. Fucking thing. Okay. Why did him and Paul not think of the genius of having them in their own makeup and character? That's a whole different marketing tool for the band. That's a whole different merchandising. That's everything. Eric playing his drums, not Peter's drums, playing his double basses with leaving his blonde hair. Tommy playing his own guitar, not acting like fucking Ace and playing a Les Paul Gibson, his own style.
Well, if you listen to Paul, it's because and I can kind of see you had the Egyptian Ankh, you had the Fox. At some point in time, it's like Gwar or Slipknot, right? You just keep introducing new characters, and who cares? He kind of has a point with the only people associate those original four faces, not who's behind the makeup or what even the guy's name is. It's the four images of those.
See, I don't look at it that way.
And I don't know if I buy that or not. I absolutely don't. As long as you don't come out with stupid names like the Egyptian Ankh. I mean, the Fox, that was cool. The makeup was fucking badass.
Awesome as hell.
And why do you even got to give him a name? First of all, those names only became in existence because of that fucking movie, Phantom of the Park, right? He was not no Bat Lizard or some fucking Star Child. That shit didn't exist in the early 70s. That wasn't until they got to their comic book stage that they created. So shit on that. Screw that. It's Paul Stanley, not the Star Child. It's Gene Simmons. And who gives a fuck what kind of makeup they're wearing as long as it looks cool? It doesn't need a name.
Names. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they just overthink things, and they honestly, for two workaholics, I think with certain things like set lists or marketing new characters, it's laziness. They wanted the fucking plug and play operation that they had, where they had to do very damn little to make a whole lot. That's the way I look. Like I said, there's blame. People are going to say, why are you trashing on Ace? Believe me. Paul and Gene, I would love to have a sit down and give them.
When they fuck up,
I'm
not going to give them no leeway. I don't care.
No.
And that goes for any of them.
Absolutely.
You know,
no.
And
there's a lot of people sympathetic to Vinnie Vincent out there. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? This guy tried to play a 9-minute solo on stage and then confront Paul afterwards when he cut him off. This guy wanted to fucking demand more fucking say in the brand of Kiss. This guy has tried to sue them over fucking shit he had no right to. This guy is a fucking, to this day, he holds events and no shows, sells guitars for like $6,000 as stage played, and they were never stage played. This guy's the biggest crook who he looks at his fans as a meal ticket only, and they're some of the most loyal fans I've ever seen. It's unbelievable what kind of sheep follow him. Is he talented? Oh, fuck right he is. I loved his tenure in Kiss. But come on, the guy is fucking not playing with a full deck.
Fucking out there, bro. And he didn't even sign the contract.
No, dumbass. No. I don't know what kind of smart move he thought he was making.
It's just, you know.
So we're going to
but the makeup thing is Kiss just, I don't know if they just didn't understand that the hardcore fans, you know, were eventually not going to buy into that. If you would have kept that go, because see, just like me, I supported them through every phase. The makeup, the non-makeup, the reunion, through to about 2001, maybe, whatever. But I still went and seen them in concert, though. You know, I still went.
Yeah. No matter where my priority was with them, if they were close enough to go, I'd go. That was just the way it was.
I mean, but the hardcore fans, I think, would have bought into it, and there would have never been a discussion about all this shit. You know, I just didn't understand why they did not think of that. Take the fucking makeup off. Take it off.
Oh,
you don't got to have it.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But I think overall, at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with somebody else wearing the makeup, but I think it was catastrophically stupid for them to do it, because I am not a prototypical Kiss fan who takes things as, you know, a religion. It doesn't matter. Now, if you'd have pulled that were Gene or Paul, I'd probably be singing a different tune. But to me, Ace and Peter were always replaceable. Maybe because they were replaced for longer than they were actually in the band. So it just didn't bother me that someone else is in their makeup. But Paul and Gene had to know what kind of shitstorm that was going to fucking bring. I just wouldn't have done it. I would not have fucking done it.
It's blasphemy to me.
I don't have a problem with it, but I wouldn't have done it. That's just where I sit. So let me play devil's advocate here, since this was your animal. I think I know what this is going to be for you, but what would you have done through everything we've just talked about if you could rewrite history? How would you handle leading up to, forget about the reunion yet, just the Unplugged? What would you have treated Unplugged as? A gateway to a reunion, or just a one-off good time, appease the fans?
If I was Gene or Paul, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Unplugged? Well, Unplugged would be, I'm testing the waters. I'm going to see how this turns out. I'm going to see how this affects people. Then I'm going from there. Then
gotcha.
I'm probably going to do, you know, I want to reunite, because I know that's where the bucks are, man. That's the show.
And in your now forget about Paul or Gene. That makes absolute perfect sense. what you just said if you're Paul or Gene.
Yeah.
You as Scott, the lifelong Kiss fan, do you want that reunion to lead all the way up to the end of the road with new album after new album with Ace and Peter and this retiring that way?
Yes.
Even if it went this long.
Even
okay,
if it went this, if it's going to go this long, yes. But there's no way in fucking hell that if I would got up there and seen shots of myself singing like Paul was singing those last god-awful years, there's no way in fucking hell I'd have went that far. Now, that's just me. Fuck, money I'm not worried about by then.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
I'm not the egotistical, you know, I've got to get every cent out of everybody till I'm fucking 100 years old.
No.
You know, no.
I think they should have listened to their own goddamn words about 20 years ago when you're no longer on top. Get the fuck out.
I want it to be real.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be fake. I want it to be real, man. But like I said, that's just me, man. I don't want to sell you a bag of gold, and when it's sent to your house, it's a pile of shit in there instead of gold. You know, that's not what I want to sell you. I don't want to be the guy that the people look at and say, you know, that son of a bitch, all he's done is said this, and this, and he's done this, and no. I'm going to do everything in my power to back up what I'm saying. Now, that's just me. Now, some things are out of your control when it comes to other people, but I'm going to do everything I can. If I tell you I'm going to do something and try to make the best of it, that's what I'm going to do, man, with everything in me.
Unfortunately, with athletes and celebrities and anybody in any profession, some people love it so much they don't want to let it go. It's their identity.
Yeah.
Like you said, you can't control other people. So do I fault Kiss for going on after Ace and Peter? No, because why, like Paul said, or Gene said, why should I let some knuckleheads, you know, poor decisions ruin my life? But for Paul,
no, I don't blame them going on without Ace and Peter in 1980 and 1982. No.
Right. But when Paul can no longer sing, when he can no longer sing, he needs to get the fuck off stage, retire, go do art, go do whatever. Because to me, this man's been my hero my entire, especially teen to adult life. Whether it's his looks, or the way he dresses, his voice, everything about his persona. I was embarrassed by myself watching YouTube videos of him sounding like a kid going through puberty on stage. And I'm embarrassed just because I know I've been cheerleading and fucking standing on a fucking mountaintop for this guy to all my friends who weren't Kiss fans. And they could easily pick up the phone and say, really? I know it's not my place to be embarrassed for him, but I wanted him so bad to quit and he wouldn't. And I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to ignore him. I'm not going to watch him. I'll just live in the past. And then the end of the road eventually came along. So, all right, I'll see the last show. Yeah. And then I'm going back to it's got so bad where the studio couldn't even fix his voice for the most part on a recording.
No.
And to me, for when him and Gene say, well, nobody likes the boxer who tries to stay out there too long or this, I'm thinking, and they're saying this as Paul can't sing. I'm like, what are you hearing, Paul? And how is everybody around you not telling you, dude, you sound like shit? He had to know and just didn't care.
Yes, he had to know. There's no other way. There's no other way. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're even half insane. You have to know. I mean, I was watching a clip of him on one of them. I don't know which tour this was. It was before they started using stuff. But it was
right.
And there was a guy on a phone. And he was getting ready. And Paul said, you're going to know this one. It's got a beginning. You know, you're going to know this one from the beginning. Oh my God. And this guy was sitting here the whole time video and he said, oh God, don't do it. Oh, don't, please, God, don't do it. You know, oh my God. Whoa. I mean, he couldn't even fucking. Why do you have to do that part, Paul? Why? Is it that
Why do you think I was beside myself? I'm at the I haven't seen Setlists because I like to be surprised when I go to a show, right? So I'm at the end of the road tour, and I got to see the end of the road before the pandemic. So we're talking like month 1 or 2. They were in Grand Forks, North Dakota. And to my horror, they started 100,000 years. I'm like, oh, no, don't fucking try to do that. Do you feel all right stuff? Even with tracking behind him, it was fucking painful.
Yes.
And that's why I tell people, oh, they're lip syncing. Motherfucker, there is a huge difference between lip syncing and singing to a track. If he was lip syncing, he wouldn't say, let's go in the studio and record the absolute fucking worst vocal I could possibly do, and I'll lip sync to that.
No.
That was his live voice. He just backs off once in a while, and there's a track playing behind him, but he still sings over it terribly. But he does, it's not lip syncing.
No. You know, it turned out, when I seen him, it was the same way, but it turned out better than I thought it was going to, because I really didn't know how much backing tracks was going to be used. And I knew, you know, everybody knew this before they went to the show. Okay. So, and I told, you know, Ashley and the kids and stuff. Well, the kids, I didn't say nothing to them, but Ashley and look, be glad that they're using them, because I'm telling you, this whole place would literally be just like that if he wasn't. I said, it is insane how far he let it go. Take some fucking.
And that's what kills me about the fans that are all over them and other bands for using tracks. And my argument on message boards is always, do you really want to go pay your money and fucking sit at a show and fucking sit there going, oh my God? Or do you want to go and have a good experience? And then they all come back with the same thing. Well, if they can't do it live, then they shouldn't be playing anymore. Really? Yeah. Because if that was the case, you wouldn't have anybody playing right now from the 70s and 80s. That would be dead and gone. You wouldn't have these festivals to go to and see these bands. None of them can play like they used to. In fact, David Lee Roth opening for Kiss at End of the Road that I went to, that motherfucker sounded terrible. Terrible. But you want to talk about a backtrack? They weren't even hiding it. In fact, the band wasn't even playing.
Really?
He would stop singing. Yes. He would stop singing and fuck around. Or the band was playing, but they weren't singing the harmonies. There's even an interview where Michael Anthony says, gee, that sounds an awful lot like my harmonies. They would stop. He would be fucking around with something and pull the mic away from his face, and his lips ain't even moving. He's doing something, and the fucking lead verse is still going.
Oh, we're talking about
kids. The band would all be headbanging and shit, and you'd hear "Running with the Devil," and nobody's mouthing it.
You're talking about Van Halen.
No, David Lee Roth. He opened for Kiss on the End of the Road before the Painter.
God. So really, I've seen David Lee Roth with him too, man. I thought he was spectacular.
Yeah, it was.
I did not know he was singing the back tracks.
The only reason I know how bad it was and how I caught all this is because I videoed it for my other channel. While I was there, I'm caught up in it, and that's where I tell people, fuck. Don't worry about backtracks, because if you're truly there to have a good time and you love this band, you're not even going to notice unless you want to notice it. So I didn't notice any of this. And then I'm going back and doing my editing and uploading. I'm like, what the fuck? And I went back. How did I miss that? He was singing. And when he was, it sounded way worse than I thought it did when I was there live. And then when he moved the mic and David Lee Roth from the 80s was still singing, I'm like, what the fuck?
How do you not miss it?
It's crazy.
You know,
I don't, because you're just caught up in it, man. Especially me. I wasn't front row for this one, and
I wasn't either. You know, the first time I seen Kiss on the End of the Road tour, they had a guy painting on stage.
Yeah. That I would have been pissed.
I was like,
I mean, that's
what
ridiculous.
the hell is this?
Your Kiss, you couldn't find somebody else? I don't care. Take a Black Veil Brides or something. I don't give a shit. Something.
I didn't get that one, man. That was the Charlotte show.
Okay, anyway. So we got your preference. You wish this reunion would have went off without a hitch and they would have retired the same time they did, all playing good and singing good. I'm going to take the heat here.
Yeah.
When Unplugged came out, I was ecstatic. I was at the edge of my seat like I was 10 years old again. At this point, I had never, ever seen the original four.
Me either.
My first concert was Creatures, so that had Eric Singer and Vinnie Vincent. So seeing these four was something I'd never seen before. Granted, no makeup, didn't matter. It was awesome. But I was also one of the world's biggest 80s Kiss fans. Grew up with the 70s Kiss, but when I hit my stride in my teen years and I started becoming a guitar player, I was influenced by hair metal and Kiss non-makeup more so. So my heart sunk by the end of this fucking Unplugged because I knew my favorite band who just hit their stride, who finally got done looking like B. Arthur through the 80s and fucking black leather, fucking badass long blonde drummer who beats the shit out of the drums, Revenge. Fucking there it is, man. Just to have the carpet pulled out from under and say, oh, by the way, you like this? We're going back to the original guys. I'm like, motherfucker. So I was split and I went to the reunion twice. My preference, if I could go back in time and not be Paul or Gene, I know why they did what they did. I'll never dispute them for doing it. But as a fan, if I could go back and play God and change things, they would do that reunion tour for a year to 2 years. Carnival of Souls would have never been written. They would have went right back in the studio, come back out as Eric, Bruce, Gene, and Paul, no makeup, and pick up where they left off. We gave you a reunion. There you go. Now it's back to business. Because in my opinion, musically, showmanship, energy, musicianship, everything was way better in the 80s than the 70s. Now, I'm not saying that the 80s songs were better. I'm saying Eric Carr, Eric Singer, Bruce Kulick, Vinnie Vincent, Mark St. John, all better players than Peter and Ace. All better players.
I loved Eric Carr, and I loved Bruce Kulick.
What is your beef with Eric Singer?
I did love them. I'm not crazy about Eric Singer. I liked him. I guess Revenge was pretty, but I'm not a huge fan of that album. I like a few songs.
It's not about the album for me. For me, it wasn't about the album. It was watching him perform. He was the most entertaining. He was the most entertaining drummer I've ever seen. Like Blas Elias or James Kotak. What's that?
I said Eric Carr is the most entertaining drummer I've ever seen. And the best drummer
I've ever
seen.
Maybe the best drummer, but he didn't stand up to play his drums in the middle of a song. He didn't do all this flipping around behind his head. Eric Singer was a showman back there. And I love that. And the blonde hair for the first time ever.
I love the Revenge tour.
Oh, he's so fun to watch. And my biggest thing that pissed me off, if you were going to go ahead and replace Ace and Peter with Tommy or Bruce or Eric or whoever, and you want them to wear that makeup, that's bad enough.
That's a discussion.
Do not make them play like and look like the original people. You realize how much Eric Singer had to dumb down his playing once he became the Catman?
Yeah.
No more double bass, no more twirling of sticks and doing all this fun shit. That was gone.
That's why I said let them be their own characters.
Yes.
Let them be their own people, man. Damn, it would have brought
the Live 3. I love Alive 3 so much because I'm hearing these old, simple Kiss beats being played with double bass spots and this, and I'm like, holy fuck. It brought a whole new, different element to songs that were stale by now. And now you're going to take that away from him, the strength, the reason you brought him in, and say, no, play like a jazz drummer? I just don't get it.
I don't get that either. I don't get that either. I mean, I have to agree with you, man. If Eric and Tommy's been in the band, I don't understand why they wanted them to act and play like Ace and Peter. That's one thing that I have to argue.
And that's, I think, the more insulting thing to the original 4 fans, who only want Ace and Peter. I think that's what's more insulting to them than Tommy and Eric wearing the makeup, is that they're imitating them on top of it.
That's what I don't like.
Yeah. And they say they're not, but they clearly are.
Well, hell
down to the gimmicks, right? Tommy shooting the fucking sparks out of the guitar at the speakers. Ace did that back in the fucking 70s. Come up with a new gimmick. And do we need gimmicks at this point? Does Gene need to fly up to the rafters? Does Paul need to fly across? At some point in your 60s and 70s, can't you just play your shit on stage? Use your bombs and everything. That's great, but do we need all these gimmicks? I'm not a fan of solos anyway. Those are piss breaks for me. Yeah. And I know they say, well, they do that to give the vocalist a rest and all that. Okay, whatever. Then put somebody else singing a song. That'll give them plenty of rest. There are several things I don't like about Kiss and other bands. The whole cookie cutter thing when it comes to drum solos, guitar solos. It's very rare does it ever leave a memory. You're going at it when you're there, but how many people go home a month later and remember a lick of that fucking solo or a beat of that drum solo? Very rare. The only reason the ones are so memorable from Alive and Alive 2 is because people got to listen to them over and over and over again.
Yes.
It's not necessary. If you want to do a live album, put them in. But it's not necessary for every damn show. And the gimmicks, like I said, you got Eric and you got Tommy looking like, acting like, and doing the fucking gimmicks of Peter and Ace. When is enough enough? The makeup's enough. Act how you want to act, play how you want to play, show your contribution to the band. Oh, by the way, you're just going to look like the other guys. Fine.
The only drum solo I remember from Kiss concert is the Hot in the Shade tour when Eric had those lasers.
Yes.
Just flying everywhere, man. And that's probably the best solo I ever seen in my life.
Him and Bobby Blotzer from Rat both had those electronic drums that would play different with those laser sounds and shit. Yeah. That, where you're playing guitar on the drums. That shit was cool. Offer me something different. I have zero interest in how fast you can play a fucking fill across your fucking toms. I just don't care.
I love it.
Nor do I care how fast you can shred. I just don't care. That's why I've always liked Paul's makeshift solos, even dating back to the Animalize Live Uncensored show, because it's musical. It's more of a rhythm solo than a lead solo. You can rock to it and stuff. It's not just 1,000 fucking notes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because Paul's not going to be shredding,
Well, how about Gene's solo? Gene's solo on Animalize. How fucking cool was that?
That
was Eric Carr playing drums. And now you do the blood thing, and it's nothing but a bunch of fucking echo and feedback on his bass. What the fuck is that? Oh
man, dude!
Well, as you can see, everybody, we're not drinking anybody's Kool-Aid. We got plenty of good and bad to say about the entire legacy of Kiss. I would have preferred they did the reunion and then went back to the Revenge lineup. Scott preferred do the reunion, keep it the original 4 to the end.
Way. Yeah.
You got two opposite ends of the spectrum, and guess what? We don't hate each other because of it. So remember that when you go to the comment section. I'm not telling Scott he's an idiot. He's not telling me I'm an idiot. We just got different opinions on what we would have liked to see. That's it.
That's
It's
what
that
it is.
easy.
And I'm not saying I would have wanted, if the band's going to split up in 2001, then that's when I would have wanted it to stop. Kiss would have went out on top.
Yes.
Nobody could ever say they were better than they were when they went out. Now, if they would have stayed together a few years longer while Paul could still sing, I would have had no problem with that. I'd have been like, okay. But as soon as that first sign, that sonic boom moment comes in, you've got to stop, bro. Okay? Because you're going to shit on your whole legacy. That's what people's going to remember from your concerts.
He became a parody of himself. I mean, nobody has to shit on Paul. He has given people more than enough advertising, and a video speaks more than 1,000 words. I mean,
he's my favorite voice of Kiss. He's my favorite songwriter of Kiss. The man is great.
And to me,
I love it. But god dang.
And to me, he's the greatest voice of rock and metal history for me.
And
so this was painful for me.
In the 70s and 80s, man.
Yes. Good Lord.
The man could literally, and I've never heard a voice like that.
No.
See, that's just it.
I don't know when you started watching my channel, but somebody put me onto that Donington Crazy Nights performance of Strutter. And I fucking watched that video. Oh my God, the things he was doing with his voice. And even there's that from Sydney or Melbourne on the Dynasty Unmasked era when he's doing I Was Made for Loving You. I know you hate the song, but he gets that middle falsetto part. And he's hitting notes that could break glass with a smile on his face. And just by opening his mouth, and all of a sudden, it's like, and he's grinning. I mean, no strain, no nothing. This guy was fucking unbelievable.
Yes. That's why when I tell you, when we get on our concerts, the reason I give you that the Animalize wasn't quite what I thought it should have been, that's one of the reasons why, is because Paul would not sit still long enough to sing. He's throwing high kicks while he's fucking singing, and it's like, man, just sing the fucking songs. When you're playing the lead,
he was doing on that.
Go run around and cut flips and all that shit. He's sitting here doing this shit while he's fucking singing, man. And you're getting.
He was David Lee Roth with the guitar. He was doing David Lee Roth moves with a guitar.
Yeah, he got them.
And I love that's one of my favorite video concerts ever because nostalgia. I wore the shit out of that VHS tape when I was young. And I loved what he was doing with Love Gun. Yeah, so do I. Love Gun and Lick It Up. I love what he was doing, though. Yeah. In between everything, he was always adding that shit, but half of it was off the microphone. He, like you said, he wouldn't sit fucking still. He was a fucking pillar of energy.
He had to be jacked up on something, just like that bag that he carried around on the reunion tour. The famous bag, that Ace, Peter said, that Paul had more damn prescriptions in than you could choke a fucking cow with. He carried that son of a bitch around his damn arm the whole time. Ace would always look at Peter would say, man, if we could just get a hold of that damn bag.
Well, I mean, the man's had 2 hip replacements. He had a shoulder replacement, I think. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's old.
Yep.
Well, whatever. Yep. Whatever. We love the band.
Love it.
Like Scott said, we've supported them no matter what they did.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I went to all the
only thing I could not support them with Monster. That was it. There's no way I was taking the hill for that album.
I went to the fucking tour. It was okay at best. And there was the damn spider, really? I mean, the damn thing, you didn't even hardly see it move, for God. All it done was just a leg would move here and there. It's like, is this what it's supposed to be? See, that's what
Yeah,
we'll get into, the album titles and
yeah,
the
the
cover.
concert thing's going to be interesting.
It
The
just, a
concert
lot
thing
of
will be
things they've
interesting.
done, why they done it. What sense did it make that
Right.
they done it? Why did they do it that way? That's a lot of stuff, man. And we just hit this area today because we wanted to kind of take a break from the albums. We didn't want to, just drill y'all with albums completely, but we're going to change a lot of orders in the albums up too. We're not going to go chronologically like everybody does. The next album, Alive, and then Destroy. We're going to mix it up, man. We're going to really make it more interesting, actually, for us too, to jump back and forth and in between. That's going to really, give us different opinions instead of being high this moment and then low this moment. We're going to go up and down.
Yeah.
So,
well,
but just a kind of overall.
The fact that you got. Yeah, the fact that you got Monster coming up is really going to make things hard for me. That means I'm going to have to actually sit down and listen to it again.
Yeah, me too. And because I've got to. Look, I'm just going to give you a little quick order. Monster, Paul Stanley solo album, Revenge, Gene Simmons solo album, Crazy Nights, Alive, Carnival of Souls, Destroyer. I mean, literally, that's how we're going to be going. Sonic Boom, Creatures of the Night, Alive 3, Ace Frehley solo, MTV Unplugged, Peter Criss solo, Psycho Circus, Rock and Roll Over, The Elder, Hot in the Shade, Alive 2, Asylum, Dynasty, Animalize, Lick It Up, Unmasked, Love Gun. It's just kind of jerk it around a little bit, man. 80s, 90s.
But it's not going to be, every episode is not going to be necessarily an album. We'll be throwing stuff like this in between.
Yes, we'll get them all, but we're going to be jumping around instead of, well, we know what's next. Kind of put a little hitch in it. But on this show here, we kind of just got into a talking and discussion phase of what led up to the reunion and the MTV Unplugged, how it got started, what the whole idea behind it was. And I'm pretty sure everybody actually does know that has been through their books and everything. And, they know how this stuff went and what the plan was probably the whole time. But like I said, I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can only say, I can't say 100% this is how it happened. I'm just going on books, interviews, stuff I've heard, this, that, and the other. And no, none of them was perfect. The reason that I go at Paul and Gene the most, and Gene I should go at more, because just like Peter said about Gene would always laugh when they would, hack on Paul back in the day, but he never would say anything. Peter called him a coward. He had no backbone.
He doesn't.
And
Paul Gene has always played he's always played Switzerland and let Paul take all the heat.
Yeah, man. He just wouldn't say anything, but he would behind his back, and stuff like that. So, and the reason that I come at Paul and Gene for the reunion, the MTV and all that stuff, is because they knew exactly what they were doing before. None of it was a surprise. None of it was by chance. They knew exactly what they were doing. And even though, if you go through Paul's book, he actually tells on himself, because he said, if we're going to have a reunion, we probably better do it sooner than later, because who knows when the clock might go out on one of these guys. Well, Paul, let me tell you something. They're still alive, bro. They might outlive your ass. You better watch out what you say, man. But, I'm a Goober fan, just all Kiss, especially 70s Kiss is my favorite, and them getting back together, I was fucking 7 years old again. Bro, I'm going to get to see them. I can't believe it. I can't fucking believe it. So And then when I find out they're making a new album, I'm really over the fucking moon. Wow. This has got to be a fucking another rock and roll over or destroyer or something. It's got to be. Okay. Farewell tour. I want to cry. It's over with. I really think it's all over with. And later on, I wished it would have been, but it's all an emotional roller coaster, man. And every Kiss fan, just like, Rob here, he went more toward the 80s. And I love the 80s and early 90s Kiss. I had nothing against it. I didn't doubt it. I did nothing. I just preferred the original. So I loved that because they were their own people. They didn't act like somebody else. They could play. Bruce was awesome. And that's one thing I want to get into too. I just want, when we get into the discussion I've got wrote down about how they handled each one of these people, man, there's one question, only one question that I want to ask Bruce Kulick that I never hear anybody asking. I've never even heard Eddie Trunk asking the damn question. And the interviews I've seen this man in, nobody says shit about it. And I know everybody wants to know. Why was you not offered the spot that you should have been fucking offered? Not Tommy fucking Thayer. You was the band member in that damn band longer than Ace was. When they got back together and Ace left and they put Tommy in the makeup, why did they not give you your job back? That's the question I would want to ask.
I pretty much think I know the answer, but I don't know if Bruce would ever say as much.
I hate that.
In fact, he did kind of. Well, he did kind of, in an unrelated topic, kind of said something like, "That's why I would have not worked like Tommy, because my playing is so distinct. I couldn't play like Ace." Meaning, no way was Bruce Kulick going to dumb down his ability. And Tommy Thayer, I know, was a logical choice because he was Frehley's guitar tech. He knew every spot. He knew every fucking chord. He knew everything Ace was doing. So it made logical sense, but I'm with you. I was crushed. And in fact, I remember seeing an interview with Eric or Bruce and how pissed they were when they got called to Gene's house to say we're doing a reunion. And Bruce had to tell Eric, "Hey man, you had to see this coming." And Eric took it hard, because he really thought he found a home after being Styx Will Travel type guy. And Bruce always knew how Kiss operated. He was the perfect corporate employee. He just did his job and shut up. What's interesting now is I do subscribe to his YouTube channel. And first of all, he is a champion of 80s Kiss. He will not let Paul and Gene ever forget it. He pushes it and glorifies it, plays solo riffs on his channel for it. But he's getting a little bit more vocal finally, that the end of the road is come and gone, and he knows he stands to make nothing else from Kiss and owes them nothing. He's starting to get a little more honest about what kind of shit they pull.
And that's why I love and respect him so much. And I mean, okay, if he's not going to take the part, that's fine. And I respect him. But you ain't got the incentive, the balls, the absolute respect, Gene or Paul, to at least offer the man the damn spot.
That's the fuck. After all the problems with Ace, the fucking train wreck of Vinnie Vincent, the unfortunate health issue with the hand of Mark St. John, they got Bruce as a stand-in, who then became the member, was there longer than anybody else at the time until Tommy Thayer. I don't really count Tommy Thayer's tenure because you got 2 albums that came out towards the end of it. He was just the touring guy. That's the way I look at it. I'm not against Tommy. But Bruce Kulick is a true member to me. Tommy was just the stand-in, mostly because there was no studio career. I mean, Bruce Kulick did an entire decade of albums. I mean, he won fans over, made them forget about the past. He was one of the fingerboarding fucking Eddie Van Halen type players. And the nicest guy on the fucking planet to his fans, to his interviewers, took copious amounts of shit and ate it with a smile from Gene and Paul. And that's the respect. They had so little respect for him for some reason. Someone explained to me why the fuck he wasn't even offered a ticket to the fucking last show.
I was getting ready to say that. I watched that not long ago, and I was going to say, he didn't really say anything much about it. He did, but you could tell it hurt him, man. He said
yes.
Eric didn't even fucking ask him
so
to
fucking
come.
Eric turned on him. I want to know what the fuck Bruce ever did other than being the ultimate company guy.
He was always there, bro, and he always played his parts to perfection. And you're right, he did make us forget about the past because, in the 80s when I was seeing them, Animal Lines, Asylum, Crazy Nights, Hot in the Shade, Revenge, even in the night, I never dreamed about them getting back together, man. I didn't think it was ever going to fucking happen.
And the solos on the solos he did on the classic Kiss songs didn't even sound like Ace. He completely reinvented. I mean, kept the core of it, but added his own flair and style to it. He was his own man. In my opinion, the most talented guitar player that Kiss has ever had. And
he played his own style.
Yes, and by far the most loyal to the fucking band.
Yeah, he didn't play it. I don't. He may have a time or two, but not all the time. Actually,
when he'd play a Les Paul looking guitar, it was usually an ESP.
He done that on the Revenge a little bit. I think on God Gave Rock and Roll to You. Ain't that what he's got in that video? But damn, he's not.
Yeah, it's just not.
It's a whole different color. It's not the Sunburst, which is my favorite of all time. But he's not emulating anything. All those years through he played, it was always. No disrespect to Bruce, but I thought his guitars were the ugliest guitars I ever seen.
Some of those paint jobs were horrible.
They were just plain Jane. That gold one he had on the Animal Lines, it was just gold.
And the same with that fucking that flat blue one that didn't have any gloss to it. It was like, what do you? Come on, you're Bruce Kulick. You can afford a fucking fancy looking guitar.
You can play the hell out of them. I wasn't crazy about that when he has in the Tears Are Falling video. It's kind of cool, but he didn't really play flashy guitars like Paul was playing that red BC Rich. Oh shit, that song was bad. But Bruce's guitars were very interesting, man. I will have to say that.
I tell you, the question I would want to ask is not to Bruce. I would like to corner Gene and Paul with Christ himself there so they are not allowed to lie.
No.
And I'm going to say, what the fuck did Bruce Kulick do to you guys that you disrespected him so fucking, even more than, like I said, you can imagine a conversation. Wow, Tommy Thayer knew all the fucking things. He was the guitar tech and and he plays like Ace. But to not even acknowledge him or even invite him to the final show and just have Doc McGee as a mouthpiece saying everybody's welcome. That's not an invite, asshole.
I ain't never liked that son of a bitch. I'm sorry.
No, he is a snake in the fucking Tommy Lee punched him out one time when he was a manager of Crew. I mean, he is a snake in the grass little fucker. Yeah. He is. Don't you wouldn't want to trust that guy further than you could fucking throw. But he made millions off of everybody else's hard work.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get too much into these other topics because I'm telling you,
we're kind of We
got some good stuff. But
we'll reel it in. I apologize to everybody for my anger. When it comes to Ace and Peter, as much as I love them, my blood just fucking boils when I think of how many times they burned bridges and then fucking were like, what? What do you mean you don't trust me? It just bothers me. Whoa, what happened, dude? We lost Scott here. Let me see if I can get him back. Scotty boy. I'm here. What happened? I'm here.
All right,
I hear you. Your video's loading now. Should be popping in here.
It just, a thing popped up and said reconnect, so I hit it. Come on, connect me.
Okay, well,
let's see.
I can hear you, but your camera's not up yet.
I wonder why. Is there something I'm supposed to hit, you reckon?
I don't think so. Let me do this. That's the hang up button, isn't it? The leave?
Yeah, don't hit that.
Don't do that. Hit your camera. The camera button on the screen.
Okay.
There you go. Now it's got S. It's got a S. It's trying to load.
God.
Well, this sucks.
Let's see, 2 people, yeah. Okay. Well, what happened?
Well, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. At least you can hear me. But
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we look.
Yeah,
not trying to piss anybody off, like Rob said, man. We just have our own outtakes on things, our own opinions, the way we look at things. And all of our videos are not going to be holding hands and skipping down the street drinking Kool-Aid.
Yep.
It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
We'll discuss, we'll debate, we'll disagree. And we will. Now, if something's brought to my attention that's actually proves me wrong, then I'm on board with it. I'll admit, okay, well, I was wrong, but see, I've never been one that had enough pride not to admit when I was wrong, but
right.
I've always made people, well, look, if I'm wrong and I feel strongly about it, well, prove me wrong and I'll admit I'm wrong, but you're going to have to prove me wrong. That's the type of person I am. I'm not going to say, well, I'm right and everybody's wrong and I don't care what they think. No, it don't work that way. Not in the KISS world anyway. And I don't understand why my camera is not coming on. That is weird.
I wouldn't worry about it. We got to wrap this up anyway, so.
Yeah, I guess we can. You go ahead and say what you need to. It's been interesting. And we did get off on a lot of different things, but that's the way it goes with this band. So
yep.
I've enjoyed it.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for the topic and all of your insight to the pre-reunion.
Yes. Yours too.
And, all right. Until next time, everybody, thanks for watching.
And we